We're going to dive into our mailbag here in just a second, but if you haven't already, folks, hit that big red button and subscribe. We're trending towards 82K subscribers. We need barely 500 more, or just to get there, actually less than 500. It's math right in front of my screen there. So if you haven't already, folks, hit that big red button and subscribe. We're not going anywhere this offseason. Super chat from King J, the $5 kind here. Trade down to New England for a haul of picks and Stephon Gilmore. What package would that look like for, say, the 4th pick if Dallas stayed there? Good question. I think if you're trying to value Stephon Gilmore, maybe it's like a future first and ends up being how that goes down. Right now, New England is picking at number 16, so let's just pretend that they end up staying there. The difference there is pretty substantial. I think you're asking for Stephon Gilmore, a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, and maybe even a little bit more. I think the price of a Gilmore trade would be very significant. I'm not convinced the Patriots move on from him, but I think they will at least listen to offers. If it gets New England a quarterback, maybe they would be willing to do it. From MBS the 30, he's got 2 super chats, actually. Do the Cowboys have a chance this week? I'm not going to read off your actual name there, my friend. You control. I respect it, but I'm not going to get got. I would say if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, they have a chance because the quarterbacks are not good in Baltimore behind him. RG3 and Trace McSorley they're just not good. I'm sorry, despite the fun Trace McSorley memes out there. If Lamar does play, yes, there's a chance, any given Sunday stuff, but I don't think the Cowboys would end up winning that particular game. I think you'll see the Cowboys lose to the Ravens this week. From Valerio DC for life, are they saving Garrett Gilbert for Dak next year as the backup? Is that the reason why they haven't used him again, or what's really the case on Garrett Gilbert? I mean, I think it's a lot simpler than what we're trying to make it out to be. The Cowboys coaching staff are trying to win football games, and they think that Andy Dalton gives them a better chance than Garrett Gilbert to win games. Now, I understand where they're coming from. I would rather see Gilbert for next year, kind of like you mentioned, my friend. But Gilbert was not on an active roster when Dalton got hurt. Like, the NFL thinks that Dalton is a better quarterback than Garrett Gilbert. Gilbert was okay, bordering on solid against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's had some chances. I wouldn't mind seeing him more out there. I really would not. But I don't think he is the, solution maybe at back quarterback, but I want to see him more. So the reason is, and they think Dalton's the better quarterback. I think it's that simple. From Matthew Clark, and we'll also get to that other MBS super chat too. When can the Cowboys move on from Ezekiel Elliott, who, by the way, was actually the Cowboys nominee this year for, I'm trying to blank on what the award was. Let me think. The Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award. There it is. You're pretty much stuck with Elliott to answer your actual question here for next season. Unless you can find a trade partner, you're saving about $5.6 million over 2 years if you trade him this offseason. If you cut him, there's extra money added onto your salary cap, $10 million. That is not a movable contract, folks. And by the way, if you do trade him, his new team still has to pay him about $10 million per year. So for Elliott, he's on your roster next year. The year after that, we'll see. I understand your concern and your trouble there, my friend. Elliott has not been good enough since getting paid. He has regressed. He's averaging less than 4 yards per carry, and his stats since his extension, the touchdowns are great. He's been actively involved. There's a heavy workload there, but you're paying top 2 back money for 4.3 yards per carry? No. That's not what you're paying him for. That's not good enough, even if the offensive line has been banged up. Because you know what? You paid the back all that money. He's supposed to be good regardless of the offensive line. So to answer your question here, Matthew, I don't know exactly what's going to end up happening with Ezekiel Elliott. I think that's a very good question. I don't know what ends up happening in the long run for him in terms of like the lifetime of his contract. I think in reality you're stuck with him for this year, the rest of this year I should say, next year as well. and then we'll see what ends up happening to the Dallas Cowboys and to Zeke Elliott. But I think this year you're stuck with him, of course. Next year you're probably stuck with him as well. Head over to BetUS, chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Cowboys125. That'll get you a 125% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Cowboys125. And if you are a new BetUS customer, for a limited time only, we'll hook you guys up with a Dak Prescott jersey if you put down at least $100 to get that deposit bonus on BetUS. Once you've done that, or if you just have questions about the deal, email us, cowboys@chatsports.com. That is cowboys@chatsports.com. You can go check it out today, or email us if you have any questions at all. I will make sure, by the way, that link gets put in the comment section and in the description. That way you guys don't miss out. It's cowboys@chatsports.com. From MBS, is Michael Gallup better than DK Metcalf? Easy question. No. DK Metcalf has become a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I like Michael Gallup. Don't get me wrong. He's not as good as DK Metcalf. From Cut Zeke's Hair, please. Okay. Why does everyone want Quinn as Mike Nolan's replacement? His last tenure with Atlanta was horrible and had some of the worst defensive chokes ever. The entire Falcons team has had chokes across the board. It's probably not just a Dan Quinn thing. I understand your concern, but I also know that Dan Quinn has had a pretty strong track record overall as a defensive coordinator. I think he would be an upgrade over Mike Nolan. If you want to try and go different and go younger, I am on board with that. And yeah, he's not a good head coach, but you know what? Neither was Wade Phillips. And that almost worked out really well, and that has worked out really well for Dallas in the past. So I get the infatuation with Dan Quinn. If you want to go different, though, I understand that as well. Troy Daniels, have you seen enough in the college ranks with their shortened seasons, or would you like to have seen more? I know you think Dallas should go after the draft. I think defense. I agree on defense. General note here in terms of the draft, I want more. I want as many data points as humanly possible. As weird as this is, some of the best defensive players, Micah Parsons, Gregory Rousseau, Caleb Farley, all opted out. They didn't play this year, which is also why across the board in general on defense, I think your best value actually comes by trading down. Parsons is an off-ball linebacker. Gregory Rousseau did his best work as a defensive tackle, which is not what he's going to be in the NFL. That's a weird fit. He's still kind of raw despite his great sack production. Patrick Surtain, I liked what I saw out of him, but he's not a Jalen Ramsey guy. Same with Caleb Farley. If you can trade down and still get that impact defensive player, I think that is the best path for the Dallas Cowboys in terms of impact and opportunity to maximize what could be a top 5 draft pick. From Anwin Cobb, will Gerald McCoy play for Dallas next year? Ooh, fun question. I don't know. Again, he didn't play this year for the Cowboys due to a torn quad. The Cowboys cut him to save cap space. Now, they had protections within that contract for a quad injury. It's exactly what happened. That's why they were able to cut him and save some money. What gives me pause here around McCoy is that he does turn 33 in the offseason. That means he's going to have to be cheap. So I don't know exactly what you end up doing with McCoy. I don't think you can just sign him and say, okay, we're set at defensive tackle, because you've been bad this year. And I know Neville Gallimore's young and raw and has shown some flashes. You know, Antoine Woods is decent. You still want another one technique there. But with the way the draft in particular is shaping up, I think defensive tackle is going to end up being a rather tricky hole to fill for this roster. It will be a key one, but with needs at corner and linebacker and maybe tackle and safety, you might find yourself in another position where, we just spent another third-round pick or a day 2 pick on a defensive tackle who's young and raw, and now we got to figure out which one we give more playing time to. So I think that spot in particular, unless you can get creative in a trade or in free agency, I think is going to be a tricky hole to end up filling. So who do you want the Cowboys to sign? Name a player for me in the comments section that you want the Cowboys to pursue in free agency this year. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get that ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. From a real Cowboys fan, should we play Westry if we want to lose, to see what we have with him? Same with Reggie Robinson. I do want to see Robinson out there. I think he's a safety more or less. I want to see what he can do. They moved him to safety. Parker's banged up. Yes, play Reggie out there. As for Chris Westry, look, you can if you want. It's fine, but I don't think Westry is a long-term piece. Like, despite being really tall and really fast, he didn't get on the field at Kentucky. So maybe he develops. He's still pretty raw. Maybe he doesn't. If you want to play him okay, you're bad, so I'm not going to stand in the way of it. But I wouldn't get my hopes up high for Westry suddenly being a great piece for you. From Seabass, what's going on with Zeke really? Is he playing on injury, carrying excess weight? Dude's different after securing the bag. That's a great question. I'm going to go with this theory. Elliott's had a significant workload in college and in the NFL, and I think he's lost a half step. And I think that's the difference with the lack of explosive plays. I don't think it's Zeke got paid and then got lazy. I think it is Zeke plays a position where the shelf life is very short. That's why his agent was so committed to getting him paid early, because they were worried about this. So I want to see the Cowboys reduce Zeke's workload, give more reps to Tony Pollard, to get him more involved. And also, I think if you cut back on Zeke's touches, you might get more explosive plays as a result. The more touches you get, typically, your efficiency tends to drop at least a little bit. I think reducing Elliott's workload might help him out. I think there are some confident issues with Elliott as well. I just think that the fumbles are kind of in his head a little bit, and they were early on this year. I think he got through and then fumbled again last week. I think there's a lot going on with Zeke just in terms of he lost a half step, and in the NFL, that half step matters a lot for you. All right, let me guys know it's been a positive here. The best positive surprise this year for the Dallas Cowboys. Let me know in the comments section. I'm going to go with Donovan Wilson myself. I've been pleasantly happy with the way he's played. I'm glad he finally got out there, but that's my vote. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. From Brian Parson, any chance we trade for Rodgers, what would you give? Honestly, Dak and Rodgers are in the same tier right now. Like, Rodgers is really good, don't get me wrong, but he's also on the wrong side of his NFL career. I don't have that much interest in moving on from Dak Prescott to get older and, frankly, next year to probably make a lateral move at quarterback. I'm going to pass on that one. I'll get to that other super chat here from Cut Zeke's Hair, please. Can we pass up on all the talent at the quarterback position this draft? Because you have one. Now, if you were picking number 1 overall, I'd probably take Trevor Lawrence. If you were in Justin Fields' range at number 2 overall, I'd at least think about it. And I like Zach Wilson. I like Trey Lance. But do not underestimate the value of having an actual surefire proven thing. As good as I think even Trevor Lawrence is going to be, he's not a lock. I mean, look how good RG3 was his first year, and then he fell apart. Dak is a safer bet than drafting a quarterback. Drafting a quarterback is the mystery box, guys. It could be anything. It could be a top 5 quarterback. It could be a top 10 quarterback. It could be a boat. It could be Mitchell Trubisky. It could be Blake Bortles. It could end up being a not good quarterback, and you might sink your franchise for a good 5 years if you move on from a top 10 quarterback, I'd argue bordering on top 5 quarterback, in Dak Prescott to take the mystery box. Again, I like Wilson. I like Lance. If I had Carson Wentz as my quarterback, I'd probably take a QB. But I got Dak Prescott. I already have a great one. I don't see the need to go get a quarterback here. I would rather trade that pick and build my defense out that way. JG, which player has been your biggest surprise and also the biggest disappointment? Good question. I mentioned Donovan Wilson as a positive surprise. He's been really good. Elsewhere, your offense is so decimated. Connor Williams has been better. Disappointment, I think injuries across the board have been a major problem. And I think, honestly, Zeke and Jalen have taken a step back again this year, and that is troubling. So will Dallas win the NFC East in 2021? Get your votes in here. What do you think will end up happening? I think, yes, they're going to. I think you get Dak Prescott healthy, the offensive line gets healthy, and you find defensive additions through the draft or the free agency. I think that's going to make you better. But get your votes in here. Y for yes or N for no.